Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Gardowski, and I am the head of youth services at the Abington Community Library. I'm pleased to introduce this program today, Making the Most of It, Optimizing Virtual Learning. This is presented by the tutors of the HELP Club of Scranton, and it's sponsored by the Abington Community Library Teen Leadership Committee. Thank you so much for attending, and Manan, I'll pass it off to you.
All right, thanks, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Manan Pancholi.
I'm Abhinav Pale.
I'm Pranav Pale.
I'm Reena Hanamali.
I'm Gayatri Gole.
Nizio.
Together, we are the tutors of the HELP Club of Scranton. And today, we are giving a webinar regarding virtual learning titled, Making the Most of It, Optimizing Virtual Learning. Can everyone see the screen? All right, perfect. Below is our email if you wish to contact us after the presentation. Ever since COVID-19 hit, schools worldwide have had to adapt to the changing circumstances, causing a huge rise in virtual learning. Now, virtual learning has its pros and its cons. Obviously, it offers safety from the current COVID-19 pandemic. Students have recorded classes, which they can review if they miss something in class. There's more time to sleep in, which is always nice. And there's less commute time between driving from home and school and back and whatnot. However, there are also many cons to virtual learning, including obviously in-person learning. That whole environment is a lot more interactive. There's more peer interaction as well. Internet issues can be a huge factor and really a huge hindrance in quality of virtual learning. And it seems like there's a lot more work assigned each day by the teachers, because we have to be more held accountable for virtual learning and whatnot. We're not in person to do classwork all the time. So, sorry, the presentation doesn't seem to be clicking. There we go. But I want to remind everyone that we're all in this together. Apologies for the High School Musical reference, and so, you're not struggling alone if you're struggling with virtual learning. And certainly our presenters today have had their own struggles with virtual learning, but we've developed some strategies for the HELP Club, the tutors of the HELP Club of Scranton, once again, and we've developed strategies to help students, parents, and teachers, especially the students. At this time, I'd like to ask the audience a question for discussion. How is online learning for you? Anyone can just unmute their mic and respond. Sorry, I was muted there. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all miss in-person learning. Like I said, it was more interactive, and it's really the more natural learning environment. We're not really used to, and definitely our minds are not used to staying home all the time and attending school from our dining tables or from like a desk in our house, as opposed to going to school, seeing your friends and everyone and hanging out and doing classwork together. It's definitely a more interactive environment. Yeah, I like in-person school for sure. Does anybody have an additional pro or con about virtual learning? Once again, you don't have to just type in the chat. You can also unmute your mic, or what was I gonna say, if you're like joining through a call, you can just unmute your call and speak.
It's a lot of screen time.
Yeah, for sure. Screen time is a huge factor in this. It's like 8 to 12 hours. Like not only is all of your school time spent on the screen, but it's also all the school work that you're assigned, and we're assigned more school work on top of that. Some teachers have tried to, combat that by like assigning more physical work. Like if you, some of your schools may have material distribution days, where they give out physical materials for you to work through a quarter. I was gonna say sometimes I get.
No, but that's not right. You can practice the teachers do Google Meet.
Do you have a response to the question, or I think someone has their mic unmuted if they'd like to respond to the question? How is online learning going for them? Or I see someone in the chat actually. Smeet said, "I like in-person school. Sometimes I get distracted." Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? Because we're at home. There's a lot more things to like look at, and like I was going to say, you might go on your phone in between classes, and yeah, there's a lot of things that can lead you astray when you're at home doing virtual learning. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
You don't get to interact with your teachers as much.
Yeah, exactly. That whole like, what was I going to say? Or do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Well, you only get to see them during Google Meet. It's hard to ask them for help.
Yeah, especially because I mean, like emails, they're not always gonna like. Not everyone's like always on top of their emails, like completely responding. Some teachers are good about it. Some teachers, what was I gonna say? It may fall to the wayside for them. It all depends. And then what was I gonna say? Some of them aren't always available during office hours. Anything else you wanted to add to that? Or?
I don't really have anything.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? I think it's funny because I think of a like personal experience I had one time. So I'm doing like all virtual this year, my virtual learning, and so I went to school one time to drop something off because I had to drop something off, and I met one of the teachers who I had like never even like met before in person, because they weren't at the material distribution. And it's really interesting seeing how they're almost like completely different people online too. It's very interesting to see that contrast as well. But, yeah, it's definitely hard to get help. But what was I going to say? Through a lot of these tips, hopefully you guys, if you can apply those and truly improve your virtual learning experience. We think it'll really improve virtual learning experience. So I think with that, we might get into the presentation once again. Unless anybody has anything else they'd like to add. All right. I'll move forward for now. So let's go back to the presentation here. There we go. So our first tip is regarding Wi-Fi troubles. So everyone's internet connection circumstances are different. I mean, really, it's a lot based on location. Some of us may live in like a really suburban area or urban area, or in like the middle of nowhere. But no matter the case, sorry about that. No matter the case, there are some general things you can do when facing internet issues. So don't worry about it. First tip is to always notify the teacher in the class you're currently in and the next period as a precaution. That way, let's say that the issue persists, then you're already covered for the next class. So you already did your part, and then you're good. Another tip, and frankly kind of an obvious tip, is to sit near a router or the source of the internet connection in the establishment in which you are doing virtual learning. And now sometimes, I know especially this is the case in my house, like I have to find a compromise between a spot with good connection and still a like reasonably quiet place to study, because that's also important. You want it to still be like a similar to school environment, so it's conducive to more like productivity. You want to be in a productive work environment. So it's definitely important. And the last tip regarding Wi-Fi troubles is to eliminate background tasks, meaning like closing tabs that maybe are from other classes that you're not using. If any of you are in Google Meet, or really if you're in Zoom as well, for Zoom, it'd be switching from gallery to speaker view. But also, if you're on Google Meet, then turning off grid view sometimes helps with like the computer processing all the different tasks. Um, and if you have any other apps running on the computer, you may want to close them down for the time being, unless they're necessary to the class. But yeah, we'll get into that later as well and some of the exceptions. But yeah, eliminating background tasks is key to getting the computer. That way the computer is doing its job, so the Wi-Fi is the only issue. It's not both. Our next tip is to help with focusing while studying. So one of the ways that the tutors, the HELP Club of Scranton, have found pretty useful in focusing while studying is to set timers for both your study periods and your break periods. And you know, you can set a timer on your phone, or if you're on your computer. I know, I'm pretty sure Google has like a timer you can just use intermittently. And then you want to keep consistent like study and break, or if you want to have like specific like consecutive study sessions and then like break, preferably you want to have like study and then break. That way you switch it up, some fresh air in between. But yeah, and sometimes if your phone is an electronic distraction during that time, you can turn on airplane mode, and your timers or your stopwatches will work just fine during that time. They'll still be able to work, so you can both have the timers and put your phone in airplane mode to reduce distractions. So that can just help focusing while studying. And the optimal time for studying that we found was 45 minutes per topic. So after 45 minutes of studying or working on one topic, you either take a break or you switch to another topic, and then you can always come back, but your work periods for that topic should always be only 45 minutes. And right after that, it should either be a different topic or a break. That way you're switching things up and your mind can be refreshed, all this information. And another tip is organization, especially in crazy and chaotic times like these, with everything happening in the world. We want to keep some normalcy here. We want to have an organized environment and an organized week, day, week, and month. So really useful thing to do is keep a running agenda. That's for like day-to-day tasks. That would include like schoolwork and homework and like just other obligations that you may have during the day. Personally, I keep like we found actually an agenda that has like the same essential calendar as 2020. And so it has like times. So if you have like a timed agenda book, that might also, that really helps, I think, block the create blocks of time to do each thing. Like timing the 45 minutes per topic, it's really useful for that. So definitely recommend keep you running an agenda and a monthly calendar for longer term projects. Like if you have a project like building something, or if it's like an essay or something you have to draw, like over a long period of time, you want to keep a monthly calendar for that type of stuff. You could also, if you want to just condense all of it, just make a general to-do list of like everything you have to do. And, that obviously just once you do something, you cross off the list and then keep going. That just keeps it in an order. And even if you want to, you can even combine all of these. You can keep a running agenda of your day-to-day tasks, so you have blocks of time for those, a monthly calendar for the longer term projects, and then a general to-do list of like every like little thing that you may have to do. But sometimes that's too much for people, and that's completely understandable. Whatever works for you. Now, not only should you organize your time, but you also have to organize your space. It's really key, organizing your workspace. Because if you have like random stuff everywhere, you might feel like, oh yeah, well I know where everything is, so it's fine. But sometimes it can really mess with your head in the end when you're like trying to like look for something and maybe it wasn't exactly where you put it, or it's just like everything is in such a different place and you have to like move around a lot. and it's just not convenient for you. And so organizing your workspace, like let's say you have like 8 or like 9 class, like 7 to 9 classes, just like take an hour and organize each like piles of subject materials or like places with specific subject materials. um like personally, I sit at a dining table and I have, like when I attend virtual school, and I have specific piles in order of the like in my schedule as well, like specific periods from like left to right of like piles of all my subject materials. And then if you want to keep a pile of general materials as well as your like agenda books and calendars or whatever, then that works even better. That way you're organizing your work and you're organizing how you organize your work really through your agenda and stuff.
All right, so now we're going to talk about some websites, some resources that you can find online that can, better enhance your learning through virtual learning. So these resources can really, be beneficial in basically all circumstances. If you're trying to study for an upcoming quiz or test, or if you're, trying to catch up on some school subjects, or even if you're just trying to learn something new. Virtual learning really offers you to discover many websites that you really find to be very beneficial in school. So the first website that we found to be very beneficial was Khan Academy. So Khan Academy is basically a multi-subject learning tool for all ages, and they really like often provide different videos on different topics. So, if you got confused by a lecture in class, you can go onto Khan Academy, look at one of the lectures on there, and that can be very beneficial if you're trying to learn a new subject. Next, TED Ed. So, commonly known as TED Talks. These are inspiring stories or speeches that are presented by speakers in various parts of the world. So if you're trying to learn, a new topic, maybe something that was covered in school, TED Talks really cover a wide array of subjects. So Quizlet. Many of you probably know of Quizlet. It's very common. It's great for studying for upcoming tests or quizzes because they have many games that really incorporate all the subjects that you're trying to learn. So if you want to study for a Spanish quiz, you can go on there, do some flashcards, and that's a really great way of studying because you can definitely write the flashcards by hand, but it's a lot better virtually because you just type it up less than 30 minutes and then just study them repeatedly, and that'll really get you hammered down for your upcoming quiz. We also have Coursera, and Coursera is basically a university or college based website, which basically offers students a course that you could take during like high school, right? And you can get different credits, and you can definitely learn different subjects that you would learn even in college. So if you're trying to get a head start or trying to learn new topics, Coursera is a very, very good website. So we also have Quizzes. So Quizzes is kind of like Quizlet, except Quizzes is a game website which basically incorporates games to really enhance your learning abilities. So if you're trying to learn about a science subject, you could play a game online within like 5-10 minutes and really get the grasp of the topic very quickly, because often when people are bored in class, they don't really incorporate the lesson very well into their brains. But if you get engaged through a game or like a study tool, you often learn the subject a lot easier. So Quizlet and Quizzes were created for basically the same reason, which were to prepare students for upcoming quizzes and all that. And it's very, very useful. I use both of them a lot. So the last one we have is Bozeman. So this is actually a YouTube channel and a website. it's mainly for science. So if you're taking a an AP course in science, those can be quite confusing at times. This channel really allows you to learn those subjects with ease because they have graphics that teach you different science topics, and they have AP chemistry, biology, and a wide array of different subjects. So like if you want to learn more about the science as general in general, then you should check out Bozeman. So yeah, to answer your question, these are free websites. Yeah, I was gonna state that these are all free websites. So we found them to be very, very interesting and definitely helped us in our virtual learning. So definitely, take 5 minutes, check them out. Most of you probably knew some of them already. So discover some of those new ones. All right, so now next slide. So another very important thing for virtual learning is separating your school environment from your home environment, right? So this is like creating a quiet school space. This can be a stable place to do work and different place to quietly study. So this can virtually be basically anywhere. So like if you want to study at your dining table, or have a desk set up in your room, somewhere where you go to study for school and do all your homework, because your brain will actually get used to that place, and you say, okay, that's where I have to do my homework, and you'll actually turn to be more do more progress, and you'll be very active in that space. So this can actually help with focusing on tasks related to school, because if you're doing your homework in the living room where the TV is on and your phone is right next to you, that can really make you very distracted from learning what the school subject that's at hand. So if you incorporate a place where you could go to sit for school every day, for me it's at a desk in my room, and that really just helps me focus on what I have to learn in school, rather than being distracted from the TV and different people walking around. And the last topic we have is, do not do your homework in your bed. So this is actually very important. It might seem okay. You're just doing your homework in your room, but what actually happens is it's scientifically shown that if you do your homework in your bed, your brain actually thinks that your bed is a study habit, so like a place where you study, and that can actually interfere in your sleep, because you won't actually sleep as well as you would if you were to do your homework in a place where you had no distractions. So try not to do your homework in your bed. It definitely improves your sleep. I used to do my homework in my bed, but if you try doing your homework on a desk or a table, that can actually definitely improve your sleep and your ability to pay attention to what you're learning.
Okay, so with online learning, many of our schedules and study habits are thrown off balance. To fix this, we want to create more schedules and repetition and healthy habits for both in between classes and after classes when you're just studying. So in between classes, we should try and move around. So that just means like taking a walk if we have time, or just going up and down the stairs, because activity is always good for us. And we should always drink water. Water is very important. It'll keep us hydrated, and it'll help with focusing and studying. And freshening up, sorry. Yeah, just freshening up in between so that we feel fresh and ready for our next class, and we're ready to focus, because it can get a little draining. And when we're studying, we should try this technique called the Pomodoro technique. So this technique is just studying for 45 minutes at a time, like Manan said earlier, and then taking a 15-minute break. So basically it just divides your studying and non-studying time so that you don't get too tired. And during those 15 minutes of break time, we should just like completely forget about whatever we were doing. And that way we freshen up and get ready to study some more. And this can help students stay focused and efficient while working. Using and blocking certain websites can improve focus as well. So we should always block websites that are not used for studying because it's way too easy to just get distracted and not focus on what we're doing. And to do this, we can use certain Chrome extensions. So Grammarly actually helps us. Many of you have probably heard of it, but it just, when you get the Chrome extension, you can open up a doc and then it'll point out all the errors and like give you writing tips so that your writing becomes better. And there's also this Chrome extension called Go Guardian. And Go Guardian, it's almost like how it sounds. So a guardian can control and restrict certain websites so that you're not distracted. And this is great for focusing without distraction. Yeah, so this may seem kind of simple, but it's really easy to overlook drinking enough water. Water has numerous science-based benefits such as preventing dehydration, focusing better, and it's proven to give a mental boost. And there's also studies that have been done, and it definitely improves concentration. This is all very reliable information proven to be true. So something as simple as drinking water can make our online learning experience a lot better.
Okay, hi. So I'm Chris, and I'm going to talk a little bit about having a virtual notebook. So this comes really in handy if you want to organize your notes correctly. So a virtual notebook is essentially when you combine your in-person paper notebook with your computer. So this could be on Google Docs or Word or some other kind of text editor. And so there's several advantages to using this kind of notebook. The first is, as I said, it's very easy to organize because you can move, cut, copy and paste things all around very easily, whereas in your hard copy notebook, you'd have to erase and rewrite. So it's also neater for that reason, and it's way easier to find a topic. And so what I mean by that is you can simply Control F, or if you're on a Mac, Command F, and you can find, search up a topic. So if you have like a science test the next day, you can Control F and look up photosynthesis, and then find every place in your notes where you reference photosynthesis. So that's another very useful application to having really virtual notebook. And so these may also become in handy the night before the test and you want to study in paper, you've had enough screen time, so you just print them out. So even if you are one of those people that dislike spending a lot of time on the computer, you can simply print out your notes when you need to. So that kind of sums it all up. Yeah, so we're continuing the idea of kind of taking notes, especially on a virtual notebook. If you miss something, there's several steps you should do. So you could definitely leave extra room. So if it's in paper, that's a little trickier. But another one advantage of the virtual notebook is that you could simply, enter in a few lines and then type it. You should definitely ask your teacher to elaborate. I know that's a little difficult, especially with the new format, but it's really not that difficult to just send something in the chat or unmute your mic. Obviously, when the teacher's done talking, you could even ask your friend as well to elaborate. So yeah, just leave room in your notes for anything you might need, either if it's from your textbook, your classmate, or a discussion that you may be having.
So another thing we can do is to keep electronic distractions away from the workspace. So generally, a lot of people will get distracted by notifications that come up on their phones. So what you could do is just keep it out of the room. But then there are most cases where you need the other device to stay in class in case internet issues come up. So if you need the device, then make sure to have set restrictions on them. But bottom line, you need to develop the willpower to stay on task because you are the one responsible for getting distracted because of the temptation of other activities. And emailing teachers early is the best way to make sure you can reach them. Emailing later can cause miscommunications regarding problems like technological issues or confusion about an assignment. Also, teachers are more likely to be available the sooner you email them. They're there to help you, so you should ask help when you need it instead of waiting. And then clear up problems as soon as you can so you can avoid being marked absent or losing credit for your work.
I could definitely attest to that. That's happened to me before. So really make sure you guys do that. Email teachers early.
All right, so the next tip we have is using a backup device. So, a backup device can be used if your original device doesn't work, and initially this will prevent you from missing any information or any classes, online classes that you may have if your original device is not working. So always have both of the devices charged. Make sure that they're charged 100%. So they
And also, what was I gonna say? I don't know if this was said just yet, but it can also be like another computer or tablet or a phone and so on.
yeah. Okay, so our next tip is have a dedicated time away from the virtual environment. And this is actually a very important tip. And so, as we know, the virtual environment can be overwhelming and it can have a great impact on our health. So, what we want to do is we want to kind of divide the time so we're not always virtual and we have time outside. So, there's some tips that we can follow to reduce our time in front of the screen. So some of these tips include doing some stretches or exercises or going on a walk. And also, you don't after school you don't want to spend more time on a screen. You also want to go outside and get some exercise as well. So yeah.
And also, I mean, especially during this time, it's really through Zoom, or well, obviously that's a screen thing, but just like with your family at home, try and spend some time with them as well. I mean, now you guys are all home all together. Maybe some siblings have had to like come back home, and after they've been like, after they quarantine or after they're like safe to interact with, then I mean, you know, interact with them, spend some time and connect with them away from the screen.
And our next tip is maintaining posture. Maintaining posture is very important. It has many health benefits, and if you don't maintain posture, it can have an impact on your health. So, some examples of maintaining posture is sitting on a chair, have your back straight. You don't want to be lying down on your bed or something like that where your back is not straight. And basically, what having good posture does, it will allow you to work more efficiently with less fatigue. This is very important, especially during the virtual environment. And it also reduces the strain on your body's ligaments, which will in the future benefit you, and it will reduce back pain, which is very important.
Just to backtrack a bit, I also just want to say, yeah, I mean, this tip is kind of for like virtual learning or when, like, if you're in person learning or hybrid, like, whenever maintaining posture is definitely key. Just want to mention that. All right. So that was actually our final tip. And we have two more discussion questions and then a couple more slides after that, just real quick. So I'd just like to ask the audience which tip did you guys find most useful? And just once again, I'm going to go through all the slides. Yeah, it's the next slide. I'm just going to go back from the beginning and I'm going to go through all the tips again so we can refresh your memory. So first one was Wi-Fi troubles, notifying teachers, focusing while studying, the timers, specific time periods, organizing your time and space, supplementary websites you can use if you're not able to reach the teacher, separating school environment from home environment to reduce the overwhelming nature of virtual learning during time between classes, some different tips, how to focus using websites, the Chrome extensions, drinking lots of water, definitely, hydration, have a virtual notebook, all the benefits of that, and then adding to that, like while taking notes in class, if you were to miss something, some tips here. Keeping electronic distractions away from your workspace, tying into separating your home environment from your workspace as well. emailing teachers early in case of questions and internet issues, using a backup device just in case, having dedicated time away from the virtual environment, and maintaining posture. All right, so I'll stop screen sharing for just a second there. But does anybody have, and I'll remove the spotlight on myself. Does anybody have any tips for, or not any tips, sorry. Does anybody have, yeah, any tips that they would like to, let me go back to, sorry, I don't know why. I almost forgot the question here. Which tips did you find most useful? Yes. You can just unmute your websites, but only for 45 minutes. Yes, that is definitely a key. Sorry, let me keep on moving the spotlight on myself there. So yes, definitely the 45 minutes thing. Yes, those websites are actually pretty much all free. What was I going to say? Drinking lots of water, maintaining posture. Yes, for sure. And you know, those are actually both tips that you can use in like physical school and like virtual school. And yeah, the online notebook. Oh wait, do you have something that you'd like to add?
Emailing teachers if you have questions.
Yeah, for sure. What was I going to say? Is that something that you already practice, or is that something that you're going to start to apply, you think?
It's something that I practice.
That's good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these tips, you know, some of them might seem obvious, but we're hoping that some of these are also new for you guys and something that, you know, you can take away from this webinar, really. So I was going to say, let me look at the chat once again. Anything that prevents distraction was helpful. Yeah, definitely. Distraction is really huge. What was I going to say? Found back posture most interesting because I never noticed how posture could affect your studying performance overall. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I know some of us might like, I mean, sometimes I feel like we all notice, like after virtual learning, like you get off the chair for like a break or something and your back is killing you. So if that happens, then you might want to fix your posture because that way, I mean, you're not feeling pain afterward, you're not feeling pain during, and hey, I mean, not feeling pain while you're working is usually a pretty good thing. So yeah. Online notebook, yeah, for sure. I started practicing that when I actually fell behind a couple notes. So if you're falling behind on notes, online notebook might honestly be a good thing to try. I would say having a backup device. Forget to change your device. Just grab your backup. Yep, yeah, definitely. Like if you join a computer, use your phone for Google Meet. Most like Android and iOS both are like, especially Android. You know, they're definitely like partnering with Google and stuff. You can just get the apps and use those for like meets or docs or slides or something. Pomodoro method, yes, 45 minutes. Really, it really is like, and like switching to a different topic after that or going to a break. Really key there. Will we get a copy of the slide? If you would like to share, if you would like me to share the slides with you, I would be happy to do so. Staying calm, keeping positive. Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. That's a good thing for our next question. Um, you know, uh, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But we get a copy of the slide. So Smeet and anyone else who would like a copy of the slide, if you go into the Zoom chat and select, it should say Manan Pancholi co-host next to that, then you can just send me your email and or if you was gonna say, yeah, you can just send me your email and I will gladly share the Google Slides presentation with you. Or if you don't have an email, then you know, if I have some contact information, that way I could send them to you somehow. Yeah, if you like the slides. What was I going to say? What else is there? All of them are nice. Thank you, Nanya. Organizing your workspace. Yes. Organizing your time and your space. Very nice and useful presentation by the team. Thank you very much. Definitely appreciate that. In fact, all tips are very helpful. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you say that. Yeah, we want to make sure we cover a wide array of things that might go wrong with virtual learning. Reading. Yeah, reading, especially what's going to say. like if you have a book or something that you might be reading in class, um, and you are hybrid, or if you're virtual but you really can't do it with just having a PDF, then you might want to ask the teacher, like if you like going to visit the school one day and ask the teacher if you can have a physical copy, or if you have like a textbook that you're using and you just start using the PDFs but it's too much screen time, you might want to ask the teacher for a textbook. Supplementary websites. Yes, definitely. Khan Academy, Coursera. Coursera is a lot more college-based, but I wasn't gonna say, for those of you who maybe in like high school or something, it could be pretty useful then. Same with Bozeman. Uh, yeah, tutoring help club for slides. Yeah, exactly. Actually, we'll get to that in a second. So thank you for bringing that up. Stretch to not get sleepy in class. Also, I wasn't gonna say, any of the other presenters, if you'd like to react to these in the chat, you're free to do
Yeah,
the
like
same thing I'm doing.
so far, yeah, all of them, very good, very good tips. So from all the tutors. So glad you guys learned something. The main goal behind this was just to make the virtual learning experience a bit easier in all aspects.
And while we may, I was going to say, while what we're saying right now may seem like a standard presentation, it's not just yet. We are almost there. We have one more discussion question after this. You do Khan Academy? Yeah, so some of you, like I was saying, some of you might already practice these. That's great. Keep doing them, honestly. And yeah, what was I going to say? I think at this time, I'm just going to read the last couple tips and then I'm just going to go back to the presentation at this point. So yeah, email tutoring help. Supplementing websites really helpful. Stretch to not get sleepily in class. Yeah, definitely. You don't want to definitely don't want to fall asleep in class. So stretching is a good idea to keep yourself awake. But yeah, so let's go to the next discussion question real quick. Are there any tips that you guys would like to add? Because we tried to cover as much as we could here, but we couldn't possibly think of everything. So if there's something you'd like to add, you can just unmute your mic. I wasn't gonna say, really preferably, that way it's on the recording. If people watch this in the future, if you'd like to unmute your mic at this point to add any additional tips any of you may have.
Yeah, just basically anything that you've been practicing through your virtual learning, because this is new for everyone. So it's going to be something that we learned too. So anyone,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
It's a learning experience for everyone. So feel free to share any tips that you feel like we should have added or like we just hadn't covered during this time. Really helpful to-do list. Oh, I didn't even know that. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you might even have an online agenda. I know some people used to do that during in-person school too. They just have like a Google Doc, everything. So yeah, might be worth a shot. Multiplication games. Yes. Not only of the supplementary websites for like a wide array of topics, but like if you're like practicing like let's say like basic math or something, like cool math games, always there. But like yeah, or just like searching up different websites with games are always helpful. Asking your friend for help if the teacher is not available. Yes, communicate with your peers, because a lot of the time with virtual learning, we're not only lacking the interaction between us and the teacher as effectively, a lot of the times we don't even get to interact with our other peers. Like I know that personally, I take an engineering course, and our engineering teacher is like, I feel really bad because this course is usually a lot more, like you have like a design team when you're like when you're engineering, you have like a team of designers who help you create a product. And so we have to do that with a lot of our projects. And so it's hard to do that through virtual learning and hybrid, especially because some people are in person, some people are all virtual, some people are virtual, but they're like, are virtual for the day. And yeah, addition or subtraction games. Yes. Oh, wow. Adrian, a good tip. That's good. Lighting in your study room is essential. Yes, because it can greatly affect your productivity. Productivity and the hours you're able to spend in there will depend on how tired your eyes are, and you get tired faster in weak light. Exactly. You really want to make sure you are in a like right room, because I mean, if it feels like it's night all the time in your room, you're probably gonna fall asleep, and you do not want to fall asleep in class. That has a really taking up a hobby in your spare time. Yes, I mean, we want to spend time away from the virtual learning, obviously, but then we got to know how to spend that time too. So you can pursue a hobby, maybe you can spend time with family, you can pursue a hobby that involves spending time with your family, or like walking your dog. I know, Abhinav and Pranav, you guys walk your dog a lot of the time to for
Yeah,
virtual
just
learning, right?
yeah, anything that, gets you active, because if you're sitting for these long periods of times, it might not affect you, in the short run, but in, a couple of years from now, you might feel the effects from it. So definitely walk around it.
Yeah, for sure. What was I going to say? Hobby. Oh, oh, sorry. Oh, that was weird. Interesting. I don't know what just happened, but Chrome and iOS also have a great application called Tide that allows you to set different Pomodoro time and break blocks. Wow. Also, there's a feature that can also block other applications that consider distraction during your study time blocks. Yeah, and a lot of you, I know, honestly, a lot of you may not like Go Guardian. I know a lot of schools install it, and it restricts a lot of the websites that we might use recreationally, but really when you're studying, it could help. So what was I gonna say? You might want to try that sometime. Yeah, Abhinav, do you want to respond to the last two real quick? There's an error with my presentation.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, get ready to eat and drink before you go on the meet. Yeah, that's actually very important, because often, you don't really get that much time to start with during these virtual learning classes. So definitely take the time that you do have to get yourself ready, eat before, and you'll feel much more productive. You'll not be thirsty during the meet, which is always a plus. Don't procrastinate. Do your work as soon as possible and use the time teachers give you throughout the day. That's a very, very good tip, because I see myself falling victim to it pretty often, just procrastinating, because the thing is, you're not in school. You don't have the teachers to tell you to do your work. So that often leads you to stray down the path of, playing on your phone or something like that. And yeah, really keeping a schedule and not procrastinating can really, really benefit you in the long run. It'll let you finish your work a lot quicker, and definitely improve your grades, which is always a plus.
And one of the philosophies that my sister told me that helped her with a lot of work, and this was before we even knew about COVID, was if you can do it in a minute, then just do it right then and there. That was I going to say, because I know a lot of the time, especially last year and freshman year, I would not be able to get on top of things. And then, you stay up later and you're doing all the things, you have to hand in late assignments. And if you ever do get really crammed with work, really email the teachers early, ask for extensions when you really need them, because if not, then it could really impact your grade. And communication is key right now, because we're not able to go to school and tell the teacher the next day, like, oh well, this happened and I wasn't available to do it, or what was I going to say, or some people may have due dates at 11:59 but still expect it to be done before class, so sometimes different things you want to keep track of. Definitely. And that's the good thing about an agenda, as long as you actively look at it and you make an effort to commit to it, then it really helps with any procrastination or procrastinatory habits there. Writing multiplication every day, yes, yeah, I mean, if you're practicing multiplication tables or something, I mean, that's really helpful, memorization. And there's also online tools for that if you want. Use appropriate words, faces, and gestures. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously an element of netiquette to this. Even though you may be in virtual learning, you still want to be respectful of everyone, and you know, yeah, ask enough questions during class to understand the topic that is being taught, so it's easier to study later. Also, if you know what concept is being taught next, read ahead a little bit so it's not confusing when the teacher's not ready to teach the class. Yes, this actually happened to me recently as well. I wasn't able to understand a topic, and then I didn't do as well in a quiz, so I reached out to a teacher and asked them what is the next thing I can do to prepare for this? Because it wasn't as specific on the syllabus. I was like, what should I do? So then they told me, I communicated with them early enough that they were able to tell me so that I could study beforehand. And, I got help creating a set of notes for it beforehand. And because of it, I was able to understand the material a lot better. I was able to do a lot better on the assessments for it and the assignments for it. So really getting ahead of the work can really help. Um, and what was I gonna say? Yeah, also, yeah, ask enough questions to understand the topic that is being taught, easier to study later. And also, the good thing is, a lot of these classes are recorded now. Like I know in Abington, they require them to record the classes now. Some of the teachers don't exactly post the recordings, or they post it but don't give you edit access, so you can't really see it. Different things happen there, but in the classes where you can, or if you want to request the teacher for it, because they're like, if you miss a class, then like really ask for the recording as soon as you can, because I mean that's the whole class. You're able to get the discussion, maybe any notes that weren't said directly in the lecture but they wanted you to copy down. Really, really key there to ask for the recordings. Let me see what's here. So try to be on a set schedule and go to bed and get enough rest. Yes, sleep is really key here, because like I think one tip that wasn't listed here that I actually want to add is, if you have the feature, and I know on Macs with the new updates, this is on there, turn on a night mode, or like a not blue light mode, because a lot of the times when you look at the screen, and some of you may have glasses that protect against this, like Blue IQ or whatever, that feature in your prescription. A blue light, what was I gonna say? When the blue light like enters your eyes, it like keeps you awake, and it can be really damaging for your sleep as well. Like you won't be able to sleep as much. So, try and be on a set schedule for going to bed and sleep. Don't use any electronic devices if not necessary before going to bed. That will affect your sleep. And once again, that's a tip that works for both virtual and in-person learning. Better option is reading a good book, excuse me, before going to bed, than watching TV or spending time on phones. Yeah, I mean, reading a book, find something that interests you, and maybe, go to your local library, go to Abington Community Library, and sign out a book. Obviously, make sure you follow proper COVID precautions when entering. But yeah, reading a good book before sleeping is definitely help. And I mean, sometimes reading can help you sleep. So follow, yes, Nanya, for sure. Following rules is key in both physical and virtual learning. And sometimes if your school or your district issued like specific rules when following virtual learning, like always keep your cameras on, always keep your mics muted, try and do that as best you can, because it'll also help with your learning. Don't play with other electronics. Yep, electronic distractions, sure. Complete your assignments in a timely manner. Stay focused on the current task. Yes, Nanya, that is very, very true. I know sometimes like I've fallen behind with assignments, and then eventually, what was I going to say? Sometimes, I mean, we all know the first quarter can be pretty rough. It's a new grade and new expectations, especially if you're transitioning between schools, like you moved and you're going to a new virtual school, or you moved or you didn't move, or but like you went from like middle school to high school, elementary to middle school. It's like different expectations, different rules. It's really hard to adjust at first, but we've all got to try and do our best to adapt, and these tips will help you do that.
Just to add on, that kind of feeds into I think it was Jaden's pointer above that, don't procrastinate, and following assignments in a timely manner is actually really important, because during virtual learning you don't have the teacher, like I said before, to put you on the correct path. So you're really you have to take ownership over your tasks. So just make sure that you hit the submit button before the time runs out, because you don't want to accidentally forget to do that.
Yeah, trust me. What was I gonna say? You want to see, if anything, you want to see a lot more few just done just in time than turned in late. But if you can review. I mean, what was I gonna say? If you take notes, then you can review them later and everything. So yeah, taking online notes definitely helps with that. You're able to refer back to it, as Chris was saying earlier. Okay, so this is all very good discussion. I think we're gonna go back to the presentation just real quick. So can everyone see that? All right, perfect. So
All right, so need any additional help? contact Help Club Tutoring and Homework Help Service. Tutoring and homework help via Zoom targets. We usually teach students in grades 2 through 8, and tutors are honors level students at Abington Heights High School. And subjects include English, social studies, science, math, Java basics, basics of statistics, fundamental Spanish, German, and Russian. So, proceeds are 100% tax deductible and go toward HELP Foundation. HELP Foundation is a nonprofit providing shelter, food, and education for orphans in India for $350 per year per orphan. And over the past summer, we actually had 22 Ts learning with 12 dedicated tutors, and we supported 15 orphans.
Yeah, so it's definitely, we want to both help people in our community and we want to help people, on the other side of the world. So really, if you can, if you want to help us through signing up to be a 2T, or if you'd like to donate, then it'd be greatly appreciated. If you would like to know more about the HELP Foundation, then you may, I'll put the website in the chat real quick. That's just the foundation in general. You can donate through them. We have our, sorry about that. Let me just resend it. I don't think I sent it earlier. Yeah, there we go. So that's the website, helpfoundation.org. And yeah, so this is our tutoring homework help service. All of us, all the presenters today are tutors from the HELP Club of Scranton. And what was I gonna say? Me, Abhinav, Pranav, and Reena are actually the officers. I'm the founding president. Abhinav is the founding vice president. Pranav is the founding secretary. And Reena is the treasurer. And so, yeah, really appreciate if you could support us that way. And Pranav.
And so here's our contact info. You can email us at tutoringhelpclub@gmail.com. You can text us at 570-212-9606. And our Instagram is help.club.scranton. And the flyer is posted on there, so go check it out.
Yeah, then that's the flyer regarding like the information for the tutoring club and all the other posts we've had. Actually, one about this event too. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave this up here for the next 30 seconds. If you like to copy that down. Actually, yeah, so guys, if you want, or just everyone, if you would like to have the slides shared with you so that you may refer to them at a later time, that's completely fine. We definitely encourage that. Copy down our email or text us and with your contact information, and we will share the slides with you as soon as we receive your message. And yeah, we want to share these tips with as many people as possible. So just let us know, and we'd be happy to share all this information with you digitally as well. All right. Now, at this time, I would like to thank the Teen Leadership Committee and the Abington Community Library for sponsoring this event. And I'd like to thank all of our teachers and fellow students and all of the tutors of the HELP Club of Scranton, not just the presenters, but also those who provided tips. And I want to say thanks to all of the parents and teachers and our fellow classmates who have really supported us during this time. We all really appreciate all of your help. And to the audience, thank you so much for attending. We hope that all of you were able to really take away something from this and are able to apply these tips. If you're a parent, share these tips with your children. If you have children who are students attending virtual school or online school, if you're a teacher, share some of these tips, or if you would like to share our tutoring service with your students, definitely. What was I going to say? And those of you at Abington, we do not interfere with the tutoring corps at Abington. So for elementary, middle school students, definitely welcome to use our tutoring service. And to all of the students out there, share these tips with your classmates and maybe like tell them to your whole class if you get the chance, like you wanted to share it with your class and you have that opportunity. Highly recommend taking it and telling everyone. Is the meeting recorded? Yes, actually, this meeting and all of its contents are recorded. Thank you so much, Shamila, for the very informative and great presentation. We greatly appreciate that. We tried to work really hard at getting all the tips, as many tips as we could, and really helping our community in any way we can. So yeah, here's our contact information. And yeah, that concludes this webinar. Thank you everyone for attending and for all the compliments and for engaging in discussion. We really appreciate all the participation, and yeah, hope you all have a wonderful weekend.